The slave market was full of noise, dust, and shouting. Aliens from all kinds of species shouted over one another, bidding, selling, trading. There were cages, chains, and strange smells in the air. Some slaves were strong, some were beautiful. Some were wild, but in one corner, hidden behind broken crates and metal parts, sat a small cage that no one cared about. Inside that cage was a girl. Her skin was a soft lavender color, but it was covered in bruises and dirt. Her clothes were nothing but torn cloth, barely covering her thin body. One of her arms looked damaged. Her legs were thin, and her hair was matted, but it was her eyes that made people walk away. They were full of sadness, emptiness, and something else, something broken. The seller stood beside the cage and laughed. "This one's useless," he shouted. 10 credits and she's yours." The crowd laughed loudly. 10 credits. "That's too much for garbage," said a tall alien with red scales. "I wouldn't take her even if she was free," joked another. They all laughed again, pointing at the girl like she was less than trash. The girl said nothing. She didn't cry, didn't beg, didn't move. It was like she had already died inside. Her eyes stared forward, blank, as if she didn't even hear them. But one man didn't laugh. He was a human rare in this part of the galaxy. He wore simple clothes, dusty boots, and carried a bag on his shoulder. His name was Cole, and he had seen many dark things in his life. But when he looked at the girl in the cage, something inside him shifted. He walked toward the seller, ignoring the crowd's giggles. "How much?" he asked in a calm voice. The seller laughed. "I told you 10 credits, but trust me, she's not worth even that." Cole didn't respond. He looked at the girl again, really looked. Behind all the bruises and silence, he saw something else. Not weakness, not trash, but someone who had survived. He reached into his bag, pulled out 10 credit chips, and placed them on the table. "Done," he said. The crowd went quiet for a moment. Then they burst into louder laughter. "You must be crazy." One alien laughed. "You just bought a broken toy. Is this some kind of joke, human?" Another asked, shaking his head, but Cole didn't say anything. He knelt down near the cage, slowly reached for the lock, and opened it. The girl didn't move. Cole didn't touch her. He just waited. "I'm not here to hurt you," he said. Softly, "You're free now, if you want to come." For the first time, the girl blinked. Her fingers moved slightly. She looked up at the human, confused. No one had ever looked at her like this, like she was something more than a thing. She tried to stand, but her legs shook. Cole stepped forward, but didn't touch her. "Easy," he said. "You don't have to rush." With effort, she stood, then slowly stepped out of the cage. The sun hit her face, and she winced. She hadn't felt sunlight in years. Cole took off his jacket and gently handed it to her. She stared at it, then at him. "Why?" she whispered, her voice dry and cracked. "Why did you buy me?" Cole smiled slightly. "Because no one should be left in a cage," he replied. She looked at the jacket again, then slowly took it, wrapped it around her shoulders, and followed the human away from the laughing market. The crowd watched, some confused, some still laughing, but none of them understood what had just happened. That day, no one had really bought a slave. Instead, something far more powerful had happened. A broken girl had been seen, truly seen. And someone had decided she was worth saving. Her story was not over. It was just beginning. The ship's door opened with a soft hiss. Cole stepped inside first, then turned to help the girl. She stood at the entrance, her thin body wrapped in his jacket, her eyes full of hesitation. This wasn't a cage, and yet her feet refused to move. She wasn't used to freedom. Cole didn't pull her in. He just held the door open and waited. "You're safe here," he said gently. "No one will hurt you." The girl took one small step, then another. Her legs trembled, but she walked inside. The door slid shut behind her. And for the first time, she wasn't behind bars, but she still didn't feel free. She looked around, expecting chains, expecting weapons. Instead, she saw soft lighting, a clean floor, a small kitchen, and 2 chairs. The air was warm. The ship smelled like metal and old books. Cole set his bag down, then walked toward the kitchen. "Are you hungry?" he asked. She didn't answer. He turned and smiled. "I'll take that as a yes." She stood in the middle of the room, unsure of what to do. No one had ever asked her if she was hungry before. They only threw her scraps or told her when to eat. Now, this man was cooking for her. He placed a bowl of warm food on the table and motioned for her to sit. She hesitated, then slowly walked to the chair and sat down. Her hands shook as she picked up the spoon. She sniffed the food like a scared animal, then slowly took a bite. Her eyes widened. It was simple stew, but it was warm, gentle. And it didn't taste like trash. It tasted like care. She ate slowly at first, then faster. Cole didn't speak, didn't stare. He just sat on the opposite side, sipping from a cup and watching calmly. After a few minutes, she looked up. "Why did you really take me?" she asked in a quiet voice. 10 credits doesn't buy kindness." Cole leaned back in his chair. "I saw something in your eyes," he replied. She frowned. "Nothing is in my eyes. I saw someone who's still alive," he said. "Someone who deserves better." She went silent. Her whole life she had been told she was less than nothing. Now this man was saying she deserved more. "What's your name?" Cole asked. She stared at him, then looked down. "I don't have one." He raised an eyebrow. "Not even a number." "They just called me Thing," she said softly. "Or sometimes it." Cole was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "You need a name?" She blinked, confused. "A name is yours," he continued. "No one can take it from you." He looked at her for a few seconds, then smiled. "Lyra," he said. "It suits you, Lyra," she repeated. The word strange and warm on her tongue. "Is that really mine?" "Only if you want it," Cole said. She held the name like a small flame in her hands, afraid it might disappear, but it didn't. That night, Lyra lay on a soft bed for the first time in her life. She didn't sleep at first. She stared at the ceiling, thinking about her name, her meal, and the human who had bought her not to use her, but to free her. She didn't understand it. People didn't do that. Men didn't do that. She got up quietly and walked to the control room where Cole sat looking at stars through the window. He didn't turn, just said, "Couldn't sleep?" She shook her head. "No, too quiet." He asked with a small smile. "Too kind," she replied, surprising even herself. He turned and looked at her seriously. "You're not a thing, Lyra," he said. "You're not broken." She looked down, her voice shaking. "But I can't fight. I can't work. I don't even know how to speak properly sometimes." "And yet," Cole said gently, "you're still here. Surviving isn't nothing." She walked closer, her eyes shining in the dim light. "No one's ever told me that before," she whispered. "Well," he said, "get used to it." And with that, he smiled again, the kind of smile that made her believe, even if just a little, that maybe she was worth more than 10 credits. Maybe she was worth everything. The ship moved quietly through space, leaving the slave market far behind. But inside the ship, something far more powerful had started, a journey neither Cole nor Lyra had planned. A journey through stars, but through trust, healing, and something harder than war hope. Lyra sat in the co-pilot's seat. Staring at her reflection in the dark glass, she touched her face gently, as if trying to understand if this new version of her was real. Her bruises were fading slowly, but the deeper scars, the ones no one could see, remained. She had never had a name, not a real one, but now Lyra echoed inside her, soft and strange. A name meant someone had seen her, not just her body, but her soul. Cole entered the room, carrying a small box. "I thought you might need this," he said. Placing it gently beside her, she looked at it, puzzled. "What is it?" He opened it, revealing a soft brush, a mirror, and a folded piece of clean fabric. "Just some small things," he said. "A new start." Lyra picked up the brush slowly, then the mirror. She stared at herself for a long time. Her eyes weren't as empty as before. There was something behind them now, a spark. Weak, but alive. "This is what I look like?" she asked in a whisper. Cole smiled. "This is who you are." She turned to him with a quiet voice. "Why do you care?" He didn't answer immediately. Instead, he sat beside her, looking at the stars. "I was a soldier once," he said finally. "I saw people hurt, broken, left behind." He paused, then added, "I promised myself, if I could save even one person, just one, I would, and you chose me." She asked, her voice trembling. "I didn't choose a broken girl," he replied. "I saw someone still standing despite everything." Lyra looked down, gripping the brush tightly. "Don't know how to live," she admitted. "I only know how to obey." "You don't have to obey," Cole said. "You just have to breathe, eat, sleep, and heal." She looked up at him, a little more of the fear fading. "No one wants someone like me," she said. "I do," he replied, without hesitation. "Not as a slave," he added, "not as property, but as a person." Those words hit deeper than any wound she had ever received. She stood, walked over to the mirror again, and touched her own face. "Lyra," she said out loud this time, "my name is Lyra." She said it again, louder, like a child discovering their voice. She smiled just a little, and it was the first smile that had touched her lips in years. Cole watched her, and a soft warmth spread in his chest. But outside their quiet world, trouble had already started brewing, back on the market planet. The slave merchant who sold Lyra had begun to talk. Some human bought the broken one for 10 credits. He laughed to a group of armored aliens. He said she wasn't broken. "Can you believe that?" One of the aliens leaned in, his eyes glowing red. Was the girl lavender-skinned? He asked sharply. "Yeah, weak thing, bruised all over." But her eyes were spooky. The alien's face turned serious. "That girl wasn't just a slave," he said. "She's one of them." Back on the ship, Cole was setting the navigation. "We're going to a quiet moon," he said to Lyra. "Somewhere no one will bother us." "Why are you still helping me?" she asked again, her voice more firm now. "Because," he said, "someone once helped me when I was lost. I'm just returning the favor." She looked at him quietly, then asked, "If I had a past, something dangerous, would you still help me?" He paused, looked into her eyes, and nodded. "Yes," he said, "because no past is greater than what you choose to become." That night, Lyra stood alone in the small mirror room, brushing her hair slowly. She looked at herself with new eyes. Not a slave, not a thing, not someone bought for 10 credits. But Lyra, her own name, her own voice, her own path. She whispered her name one last time before turning off the light, and for the first time in her life, she went to sleep not as a prisoner, but as a person. The stars outside were peaceful. Cole's ship floated through open space, far from the slave market. Inside it was quiet. Lyra was asleep, curled in a blanket on the small cot. Her breathing was steady, her face. For the first time, she wasn't dreaming of cages or pain. Cole sat in the pilot seat, reviewing star charts and checking fuel levels. They were heading toward a quiet moon called Tressanine, a forgotten place, perfect for healing. He looked back at Lyra and smiled softly. She was already changing, walking steadier, speaking clearer, smiling sometimes, but peace never lasted long in the galaxy. The ship's warning light blinked red. A low beep echoed in the cockpit. Cole's smile faded as he leaned forward. One ship was behind them, Then 2, no broadcast, no signal. Just silence and movement. Pirates, maybe or worse. Cole tapped the controls, scanning their pursuers. His heart sank. The ships were old. Slave hunter crafts designed not to kill but to retrieve. He rushed to the sleeping room. "Lyra," he said gently, shaking her shoulder. She opened her eyes, fast-hold reflexes. "We have to move," he said. Her eyes widened. "Is it them?" He nodded. "They're coming for you." Her hands began to shake. She stood up quickly, but her legs wobbled. "Do I hide? Should I run?" "No," Cole said firmly. "You're not running anymore." He grabbed a small case from under the floor, opened it, and pulled out a blaster. Lyra stepped back, fear flashing in her eyes. Cole noticed and lowered the weapon. "It's not for you," he said softly. "It's to protect you." Lyra's voice was barely a whisper. "They never let me fight." Cole looked at her, his eyes sharp but kind. That was their mistake. The ship shook suddenly. A warning siren howled. "They're locking on," Cole said, running back to the cockpit. Lyra followed, her heart pounding in her chest. "What do they want from me?" she asked. Cole didn't turn around, I think. "You're more than what they told you." The first blast hit the shields. Lights flickered, metal groaned. Cole pushed the engines hard, but the enemy ships were faster. Another hit closer, sharper. One screen blinked, red boarding hooks deployed. "There." "Coming inside," Lyra said, panic rising. Cole looked at her, steady as stone. "Then let's make sure they regret it." The ship's side door was ripped open with a loud metal scream. 2 dark-armored figures entered, with stun weapons raised. Cole fired first, forcing them back. But a third attacker jumped in and hit him in the ribs. He fell, groaning, human trash. The slaver spat. "Give her up." Lyra stood frozen for a moment. Then she looked at Cole, coughing on the floor. Something inside her cracked. No. Awakened. She wasn't weak. Not anymore. Not with a name. Not with someone who believed in her. She grabbed the fallen blaster and aimed. Her hands shook, but her eyes were steady. The slaver turned, surprised. She pulled the trigger. The shot hit his leg. He screamed and dropped his weapon. The others turned to attack her, but she moved fast and low. She didn't know where the moves came from, but her body remembered. She ducked, dodged, and fired again. Cole, watching from the floor, felt his chest burn with pride. Lyra, once sold for 10 credits, was fighting like a warrior. Soon the slavers lay unconscious or groaning on the floor. Lyra stood over them, her breath heavy, hands still shaking. She turned to Cole, eyes wide. I did it," he nodded, slowly getting up. "Yes, you did." They locked the attackers in a storage bay and fixed the ship's door. Cole sat down, holding his side. Lyra handed him water, still stunned. "Where did I learn that?" she asked. Cole shook his head. "I don't know, but it wasn't normal slave training." She looked at her hands. There were burn marks and scratches, but she didn't care. "I was something before," she whispered. "I wasn't born a slave." Cole reached out and placed a hand on her shoulder. "Whatever you were before, it doesn't matter now. You're Lyra, you're free, and you just saved us both." Lyra sat beside him, and for the first time, she didn't feel small, didn't feel weak. She didn't just survive today. She fought. She won. She mattered. But neither of them knew that this battle was only the beginning. There were others out there. People who remembered what Lyra really was, and now they were coming. The ship was quiet again, too quiet only hours ago. Lyra had stood in this same hallway, shaking with fear. Now she stood straighter. Her body bruised, but her spirit burning. She looked down at the unconscious slavers locked behind the sealed door. They had tried to drag her back to the life she had escaped. They failed. Cole was in the medbay, sitting on the edge of the bed, while a small healing drone buzzed over his side. He had taken a hard hit to the ribs, but his eyes never left Lyra. She entered slowly, unsure of what to say. She was still holding the blaster, but not like before. Her fingers didn't shake, her breath didn't stutter. Cole smiled a little, even through the pain. "You saved us," he said. "I didn't know I could," she whispered. He nodded. "You did." Lyra looked at her hands again. There was this moment. During the fight, she said, "I felt like I wasn't me. Like something else took over. Not something bad, just strong." Cole leaned forward slightly, wincing. "You weren't someone else. Lyra, you were you, without the chains." She sat down on a nearby chair, still trying to understand. "All my life, I was told I was nothing," she said. "But now, I don't feel like nothing." Cole looked at her seriously. "Because you never were." Suddenly, the ship's AI beeped. "Incoming transmission," the voice said. Cole and Lyra exchanged glances. "Put it through," Cole said. A hologram appeared in the center of the room. It was an older alien man, cloaked in dark gold robes with symbols tattooed down his face. He spoke slowly, like someone used to being obeyed. "You have something that belongs to us," he said. Lyra's body tensed. Cole stood, despite the pain. "She doesn't belong to anyone," he said flatly. The alien tilted his head. "You do not understand. She is not just a runaway. She is a lost heir." Lyra froze. "What?" she whispered. The alien continued. "She was taken from our world as a child. Her power was feared. She is the last of her kind, the bloodline of Veltari." Cole narrowed his eyes. "You sold her like a slave," he said. "We didn't," the alien said. "She was stolen, smuggled into the black market. But now that she's awakened, many will want her." The hologram vanished without warning. Cole looked at Lyra. Her face was pale, her eyes wide. "I don't know who I am," she whispered. "But they do." Cole walked over and gently placed a hand on her shoulder. "No matter what blood runs through you," he said, "you're still Lyra. You choose who you are." She looked up at him, her voice trembling. "What if they come again?" He nodded. "Then we fight." Later that night, Lyra stood alone in the small training room. There was an old staff weapon hung on the wall. Something Cole had picked up years ago. She took it down and held it. It felt right. She moved slowly at first, then faster, spinning, striking, blocking air. Her body remembered, even if her mind didn't. She wasn't trained, she was born to fight. Cole watched silently from the hallway. His ribs still ached, but his heart was full. This girl sold for 10 credits wasn't just brave. She was dangerous to the people who had once owned her. She wasn't their victim anymore. She was becoming something else. A message alert pinged again. Another ship had entered their sector, larger, heavily armed. They were tracking Lyra, but this time she wouldn't run. This time, the girl who once couldn't speak above a whisper was ready to make the galaxy hear her roar. She walked to the cockpit, staff in hand, eyes glowing faintly under the ship lights. Cole raised an eyebrow. "Planning something?" Lyra nodded slowly. "They want to take me back," she said. "I say, let them try." The stars outside pulsed gently, but inside the ship, tension grew with every second. Cole watched the scanner screen as a large ship hovered at the edge of sensor range. It hadn't attacked, not yet, but it wasn't hiding either. It was watching, waiting. Lyra stood near the window, staff in hand. Eyes focused on the stars, her mind was racing. She wasn't just a slave. She wasn't just a girl given a name by a kind stranger. She was something more, something ancient. "I don't remember them," she said quietly. Cole turned from the controls. "Who?" "My people," she replied. "The ones the hologram spoke about. I don't remember a home or a family. I don't remember anything before the cage." Cole didn't say anything at first. He walked over and stood beside her. Memories. Or not, he said. Your blood remembers. The ship's AI interrupted them. Incoming transmission from unknown vessel. Cole sighed. Let's hear it. The hologram lit up again, but this time it wasn't the same robed elder. It was someone else, an alien woman with glowing blue eyes and golden skin. She wore armor that shimmered like fire under glass. Lyra of Velteri. She spoke with a powerful, calm voice. Your flame has awakened. You do not belong. To the dirt and filth that traded your life for coins, you are royalty. Lyra stepped back. No, I'm not. I'm just a girl. A slave. The woman shook her head slowly. You are the last daughter of the Veltari line. Your ancestors ruled systems with wisdom and power. You were taken as a child because your birth threatened those who wanted control. Lyra's voice cracked. Then why didn't anyone come for me? The woman's eyes softened. We searched, she said. But your trail was hidden with dark technology. We believed you lost forever until you fought back. The hologram flickered and ended. Cole walked to Lyra, who had sat down, hands on her head. I don't know how to be a princess, she whispered. I don't want a throne. Cole sat beside her. You don't have to be anything you don't want, he said, but they're not after a princess. They're after someone powerful who forgot who she was. Lyra looked up slowly. I felt it when I fought. She said, like a fire waking up in my chest. It scared me. Cole nodded, but it protected us. That fire is yours. Later in the training room, Lyra stood alone again. She pressed her hand against the wall and closed her eyes. Show me, she whispered. And something did. A memory not clear, but real. A tall figure in gold robes holding her hand as they walked through a crystal hall. Warmth, love, and strength surrounded her. Then darkness, screams, running. Metal cages, silence. She opened her eyes, gasping. She had seen her past, just a flash, but it was hers. And she remembered her name fully now. Not just Lyra, but Lyra Velteri. That night, Cole prepared the ship for departure. The large alien vessel hadn't moved, but he didn't trust them. He turned when he heard footsteps. Lyra entered wearing a simple silver uniform she had found in one of the storage lockers. It fit her well, like it had been waiting for her. Her hair was tied back, her eyes glowing faintly under the lights. She looked stronger, taller. Somehow, I'm ready, she said. Cole raised an eyebrow. For what? To face them, she said. Not as a slave, not as a lost girl, but as Lyra Veltari. Cole smiled slowly, pride shining in his eyes. They won't know what hit them as they approached the alien ship. The docking doors opened without resistance. Lyra and Cole stepped inside. Walking through a grand hallway lined with glowing blue crystals, at the center was a circle of elders and warriors, waiting in silence. The woman with golden skin stood and bowed slightly. Welcome home, princess, she said. Lyra didn't bow. I'm not here to return to any throne, she said, her voice clear and firm. I'm here to ask who betrayed me. Murmurs spread through the hall. The woman nodded slowly. Then you are ready to lead. Lyra's past wasn't just a story of pain. It was the key to understanding her future. She wasn't just the girl sold for 10 credits. She was the fire that the galaxy thought was extinguished, and now it was burning again. The grand chamber was quiet. Dozens of alien eyes were locked on Lyra as she stood in the middle. But she didn't shake, didn't lower her head. The girl who once sat in a rusted cage for 10 credits was now surrounded by warriors and elders. She was no longer the forgotten. She was the storm they hadn't seen coming. You were betrayed by one of our own, the golden-skinned woman said softly. The one who smuggled you off-world as a child and sold you into slavery. But he vanished, and for years. We believed you lost. Lyra clenched her fists. Her mind was flooded with memories, some clear, some broken, but one thing was sharp. She had been stolen, but she never gave up. "I don't want a crown," she said, her voice steady. "I don't want a palace. I just want to live free." As myself, the elders nodded, but one older male stepped forward. "Your bloodline is rare," he said. "It cannot be ignored. Others will come for you, some to worship, some to use, and some to kill. You must choose now. Lyra, hide forever. Or stand and claim your future." Cole stepped forward. His presence quiet but strong. She already made that choice the day she picked up that blaster. He said, the day she stopped running. Lyra looked at him, her heart full, she remembered. The first time she saw him, dusty boots, calm eyes, and no laughter when the market mocked her. He was the only one who didn't see a slave. He saw a person, and now? He stood beside her in front of kings. "I will not hide," Lyra said. "But I won't be your puppet either. If I am Valtteri, then I choose what that means." The elders looked at one another, then bowed. The woman smiled. Then, "We will follow you, not command you," she said, a day later. Lyra and Cole stood at the top of a wide balcony, overlooking a starlit valley. Below, the people of Valtteri were gathered, many with tearful eyes. They had believed their bloodline was gone. Now they had it back, but not in a golden cage. In the form of a girl who had survived the darkest place in the galaxy. Cole leaned on the railing beside her. "You sure about this?" he asked. She nodded slowly. "They need hope," she said, "and I need peace. But first, I want to give something back." That night, Lyra stood in front of the crowd. "Kay," her voice echoed through the valley. "I was once sold for 10 credits," she said. "People laughed at my worth, beat me, locked me away. But one man gave me something they couldn't. He gave me a name, a choice, a home." She turned to look at Cole, standing quietly in the shadows. Tears shone in her eyes. "I owe him my life," she said, "and today I share that life with all of you." The crowd cheered, but Cole stayed still, his heart pounding. He had come to this world as a stranger. Now he was a part of something. Bigger than war or rank, he was part of her story. After the ceremony, Lyra found him alone. Near the gardens, the night air was calm, filled with glowing plants and alien lights. She walked up to him, her hands behind her back. "Are you leaving?" she asked softly. He shrugged. "Didn't plan to." She smiled gently. "Good." She pulled something from behind her back and handed it to him. It was a small metal coin, 10 credits. "The price they thought I was worth," she said. "But you gave me everything. I want you to keep this, not as a reminder of what I was, but of what you saw." Cole took the coin and held it tight. "I never expected anything from you," he said. "And yet," Lyra whispered, "you gave me everything I needed." She leaned in and rested her head on his shoulder. For the first time, there were no cages, no weapons, no battles, just quiet. Lyra Valtteri, K, once forgotten, once mocked, once sold, had become a symbol of hope. Not because of her power, but because one human looked past the price tag. He didn't see a broken girl, he saw a person, and in that simple act, he changed everything.